Welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I am your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's episode, I have a monstrous conversation for you with a fantastic artist and a VTuber. But if things get a little too chaotic, just bring out your clown horns. Trust me, it'll work. Today's guest is Kaiju Fluffs, an artist, animator, and your local friendly Kaiju VTuber, looking to make art and play some games with a little clown tomfoolery sprinkled in. Kaiju is a fantastic friend of the community and someone that I have gotten to see over the past couple years, so finally getting the opportunity to reach out and get this set up, it was an absolute blast to have this fun conversation, and I know you guys are going to absolutely love it. Trust me, you will. If you enjoy our guests, please make sure you support her with the links down in the description below. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff, and you know it genuinely warms my heart. In fact, to go back on the subscribe point, I highly recommend you subscribe to the podcast if you are not already, because we are currently on the hunt to get 2,000 subs by the end of 2024. If we hit that goal, I will get my first tattoo, as designed and decided by you, the community. So if you want to be a part of that community to make that decision, subscribe to the podcast today. And look, if you want to go a little above and beyond when it comes to that support, may I recommend you check out our merch shop at fourthwall.com. In there we have some amazing designs as done by some fantastic artists, including the brand new logo design as done by another good friend of the community, Roshan Galaxy. Plus, you may want to keep an eye peeled for what's going on that store because, you know, the holidays are coming up soon, and I think it would look fantastic at some of the holiday merch that we have planned. So, please check out our Fourth Wall shop with that link in the description below. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, despite all the chaos that you've been dealing with personally.
Yes, I'm sorry I had to cancel the last time because I had no actual idea when I'd be getting my dentist appointment. And lo and behold, I had both a dentist appointment and a medical appointment on the same day.
Oh,
so as you can no doubt imagine, my anxiety was through the roof of like, excellent, wonderful, 2 things I have to worry about today.
Well, let me just let you know right now. Again, it was no major problem because, like, it's not like I need this episode to come out like this upcoming Thursday. I need to hurry up and record it. Like, no, I plan these things well in advance to where, like, if I need to push yours like a couple weeks or whatever the plan may be, like, I got that on lock set to go. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like this is a live shoot. This is a previously recorded thing that I'm gonna go into afterwards and edit and all that stuff. So,
oh, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you can also partially thank me for getting you a new fan as well. Because I tell my girlfriend a lot of the stuff when it comes to the guests or whatnot, and you know I told her about you, and then I showed the art that you've done of yourself or whatnot. She's like, oh, big lady, oh.
That's how I lure them in. I lure them in with big lady, and then I'm like, okay, everybody sit down. We're gonna talk about the Monkey King.
We're going to talk about the Monkey King and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Hell yes, we are.
I was like, trust me, whenever I saw, like, for example, the clip of you playing that game recently or whatnot, like, it so perfect. It was so wonderful. Because, like, I know about Killer Clowns from Outer Space because of my co-showrunner. Like, she's a huge fan of it. And, of course, seeing your affinity for clowns, to put it mildly, yeah, I get it. I understand.
Oh, I love it not only as, you know, that thing because, you know, I'm a weirdo, but also just because I do enjoy good passion project films.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Films that are just made for the hell of it.
And especially with the way that film was just more or less made, like, because the co-showrunner, her name is Tipsy J. Hartz. Whenever she...
Oh, Tipsy!
Oh, you know of Tipsy.
I saw their music video for Killer Clowns last
Yes,
year.
yes, exactly. Yeah, no, that's how big of a fan she actually made like a cover song for it.
I loved it. It's so good.
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. Like whenever she showed me a few years back, like the movie or whatnot, I couldn't help but fall in love with the movie as well. Just like how cheesy, but also like the genuine moments where it's actually like legitimately creepy. Like the moment where like like when the clown makes one of the police officers an actual puppet, and then it just like slowly like slides off the hand or whatnot. Like that was genuinely a creepy moment in that film.
Well, that's why the movie works. Like, because it's such a ridiculous idea, like, oh, clowns from space, but because all the actors play it so straight-laced, like, oh shit, this is actually horrifying, it really adds to the comedy and horror of it.
And, I mean, to be
Sorry
fair,
if I'm delaying the recording.
No, if it helps out, I do record this like little intro section right here. So if it's cool with you, I could include like bits of this into the podcast itself, like leading into it.
Of course.
But what was I gonna say? I mean, to be fair, like Killer Clowns, like it's a ridiculous idea. It's not the most ridiculous idea out there when it comes to like horror films and stuff like that. I mean,
oh no, of course not. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes exists.
That was literally the example I was gonna go with. Or what was it, like Rubber, the one about the tire with psychic powers or whatnot?
There's one from Troma called Killer Condom too.
I didn't hear about that. Oh my god!
It's a Troma. It's one of the films Troma took on from Germany about a condom that eats penises.
It just reminds me of that crappy Netflix film. Was it Teeth or whatnot, about the woman who had like teeth in her vagina or whatnot?
Yeah, that wasn't even Netflix. That was way before Netflix. I think that was in like the early 2000s or like the middle 2000s or something.
Some long lines of that. And then I was also gonna say there was one more that I had in mind. What was it? The most notorious one that Patton Oswalt had a bit about it is Deathbed, the bed that kills people.
And Killer Sofa.
And Killer Sofa.
Oh, wonderful.
Man. It's amazing, like, if given the opportunity. I mean, you know, we're joking about all this stuff, but like, look at the stuff they're even making nowadays. I mean, there is that whole entire, you know, Winnie the Pooh horror cinematic universe that's now being made with like other characters and whatnot, like Bambi and Pinocchio.
I don't know if Bambi's out yet. I've been seeing clips of Bambi, and I'm shocked by how good the CGI is for a movie of that caliber.
I was saying,
but then again, they have been getting a shit ton of money for it. So,
have you seen? They recently released some clips of like the animatronics they're going to be using for the Pinocchio film. It looks legitimately good.
Ooh, I have not seen that actually. I will have to look into that.
Yeah, definitely look into that, because like it's genuinely creepy, but it's also very well done for animatronics. And you're like, yeah, whenever it made the shit ton of movie because everyone was laughing at the, you know, killer Winnie the Pooh or whatnot, they actually get the opportunity to make like legitimately good looking stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually willing to give these guys a chance.
They have a passion for the utterly absurd, and honestly, good for them.
Yeah.
I love a good bit of absurdity. We need a bit of that. We miss a bit of the whimsy and the campiness from the 80s.
Exactly. That's what it basically boils down to. All these ridiculous stuff that we're laughing at, it's just basically reminiscent of those classic 80s horror films that we all just need in our lives. It's like,
exactly. That's why I still love Killer Clowns, because it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous,
and it's good to see that.
And I love it.
It's good to see that fan base still like alive and thriving, especially to the point where again they made the video game recently.
Yes, I've been enjoying that. They brought out a brand new map for it called the Crescent Cove Mall, and it's very pretty. Everything's so pretty in that game. Oh, and they added Elvira. Oh, yes, another boon.
I did see
Elvira and Tom Savini.
I did see that. I need to just buy that at this point, because it's something I was interested in playing whenever it was first announced. When I just never got around to getting it.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about it is that you can play it on your own if you ever like wanted to. Like if you're sick of the online game, which you will get sick of the online game every now and then because there are people who just want to ruin it. You can just like play it on your own and have shit in the background, and it's just nice and fun.
Nice. You know what? Probably sometime after this episode comes out or whatnot, and I listen back in, I'm like, oh, yes, right, I talked about that. I'll probably be buying that game.
Yes!
All right, Kaiju, before we really get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may.
Of course.
Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accord. It's just you, alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to really enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not stranded on a desert island. It's like a little personal paradise away from society. You know, little B&B, all the amenities, all that stuff.
Very good.
Exactly. To help make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you could bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
It's a toss-up between Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the movie, the DVD with the behind-the-scenes features, or the Masters of Horror Collection, Volume 1.
Oh, interesting. Okay, both very good, and definitely a lot to discuss when it comes right there. Because first off, you said the Killer Clowns, the movie, DVD, as well as all the bonus features and stuff like that.
Yes, I love watching like the making of things. It's very fun for me. It's how I fell in love with people like Rick Baker and Tom Savini and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say, I know for me, I've said this several times on the podcast, but like, I was always the kind of person that was more interested in looking at the bonus features of a DVD than actually watching the movie itself. So like, seeing all the like the kind of the behind the scenes stuff, and especially for a creative movie like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, like, yeah, I can see why that's a good go-to choice. But why the Masters of Horror Volume 1 as, like, your other choice? What about that one makes you want to potentially go with that pick?
Well, I really like Masters of Horror. I like all the seasons, but Masters of Horror, because I used to have a DVD set of the Volume 1 thing, and now I've lost it. I miss it very much. And it's mostly... because of people who don't know, Masters of Horror is a series of horror short films, like, or episodes, where it's directed by multiple horror, like, directors, like Joe Dante or Don Coscarelli or Guillermo del Toro and stuff. And they're really good. Like, genuinely good. It has some of my favorite episodes as well, like Jennifer, Chocolate, which was the other one? Hakel's Tale, which is a hell of a wild one, and Imprint by Takashi Miike.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of this, but like hearing you talk about this stuff, especially like the name of directors you listed or whatnot, I need to find this and watch it more than anything else.
I would really recommend it because it is literally just little samples of horror slices from these famous directors. Like there's one from Dario Argento of all people, and like good stuff. There's one from John Landis.
Oh wow.
Who oh, John.
Oh, John. Both very good choices, but regardless, those are your answers. You're locking that in.
Yes.
Then if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You would look fantastic in the merch that we have at the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And you can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at Postmod Art Pod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. She is an artist, animator, and your local friendly kaiju VTuber looking to make art and play some games with a little clown tomfoolery sprinkled in. Welcome to the podcast, Kaiju Fluffs!
Hello!
Hello! How are you doing today?
I am doing fine. I am just chilling here, enjoying myself, and now talking with you. And I've been looking forward to this, even if I did have to cancel a week beforehand. But bugger that. Medical reasons, real life reasons, disgusting fleshy reasons, whatever. We're here now.
I was gonna say, the people didn't have to know that. I could have edited that out easily. Like there was no problem. With that. No,
it's better if people. It's better if people know if we're human. It takes away the dehumanization that comes with artists.
That is very true. That is extremely valid. But regardless, despite all the planning stuff, which again, like I said before, I had no issue with how I do this podcast. Like it's easy to work around that. But regardless, I'm glad I am getting the opportunity to sit down and chat with you. Like I've been noticing your stuff for a while. It's not like this is something I just randomly came up to. He's like, hey, I want you on the podcast. Like, no, I've known of your presence for a good while, and I cannot wait to divulge into how you're able to present yourself and the art you're able to present. But before we start discussing about that, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of well, the origin story of Stacy in this case. What got you interested in the arts in general in the first place?
I suppose, like, as an art, if we were to go way, way back, like, I suppose it was just the encouragement of my mother and my grandmother, who just saw me, like, doodling giraffes on an Etch-a-Sketch every hour, because I'm autistic, and, you know, hyperfocus is a thing with us in the spectrum and the thing. And they were just like, oh, you should do that. And I'm like, okay. And I eventually realized, oh, wait, I actually enjoy this. And it went on and evolved. But I suppose any real internet presence I had was later on when I started university. And anyone who's ever, you know, done university can tell you it's fucking hell. It's a stressful knot of things just tangling up your brain. And during that whole thing, to calm myself down and such, and to like ease out, I started a little online comic called Shark Puppy. And that really helped me.
Oh my goodness! I can't believe I did a lot of research. I did that stuff. I forgot that you had mentioned before that you were the person behind Shark Puppy.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be talking about that at a certain point. And trust me, like, you know, especially thinking about like the early days, giraffes of all people was not going to be the animal I was betting on, the one you being hyper focused on in the beginning.
No, neither not. But apparently my mother and my grandmother used to tell me, oh yeah, you used to doodle a lot of giraffes. Like, really? Because I can barely draw a fucking horse, so that's a surprise to me.
Well, I mean, no wonder it's hard for you to draw a giraffe then, because like a giraffe is just a horse with a long neck, essentially.
Yeah, it's just a long-necked horse.
It's just a long-necked horse. It just reminded me of a comic that I saw the other day of like, what was it? I don't know why I found this. I think it was randomly on Facebook of all places. Lord forgive me. But it was like, you know, the dinosaur, it was like, there's like 3 brontosauruses or whatnot, and like they see the meteor coming down, all of a sudden their heads detach and they go to the moon, and then years later they see a horse prancing along, and they're like, that's our target, and then they go from the moon back to Earth, and they just put their head on top of a horse. Boom, giraffe.
Damn.
The weird stuff you find on the internet, am I right?
Yeah, the internet's just full of weirdness, and I love it for that.
Amen to that. I mean, you know, we probably wouldn't be here without that weirdness, am I right?
For real. For real.
And I was also going to say, whenever you mentioned, you know, going to uni and talking about how much hell it was, as someone that also went to university for, you know, mass media, TV, film, all that jazz, for over 4 years, and still didn't get my degree because it was hell, like, on me mentally or whatnot. Yeah, I agree. I still beat myself up about not getting that degree just yet.
I went for animation and sequential art.
Okay.
And they also make you do film studies because, you know, it's tied to animation and stuff, but my god, will they make you fucking hate film. Were you also in that thing where your teacher was like, okay, we're going to teach you how to criticize everything in the movie, and you will hate movies for a year or two? Like, good, great, my favorites.
Oh, it was not just that. There was a dedicated class for that I had to take, and that was part of the reason why I could not, like, succeed, because, like, especially whenever I keep getting, like, the writing assignments or whatnot, my brain is just like, I don't care about this aspect of it. I just enjoy the different things about it. Why do I need to criticize, like, every individual detail? It ruined so many movies for me when I was in uni, like, so badly.
It is the awfulness of it all.
It is the awfulness of it all. So it makes me curious, when did it for you go from this, like, obviously general love and kind of appreciation that was early on to a passion and truly wanting to make it your career? Like, why did you decide to go to uni for, you know, art and animation and stuff?
I suppose because, like, I just really enjoyed doing artwork. Like, ever since I was younger, I just loved drawing. I love creating things. I love making little worlds for myself. And I thought, you know what, this is what I really love to do. But the real nail in my head, in the coffin for that, for getting truly into was retail work. it was God help me. It was doing retail work for a set number of years in a shop which I don't think is continued anymore in the UK, called Marks and Spencer's.
Okay.
I think it is probably up and up, but whatever. They'll never know the branch I worked at. But if anyone does recognize me and knows that Marks and Spencer's, I hope you got out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked there when I was about 16 and stuff, and I did basic stocking and stacking and all that stuff, and doing things in the back room in the warehouse, the open air warehouse, which was freezing and you'd have to wear coats to work in it during the winter.
Right.
And it was awful. And one day, basically I was going like, man, I wonder what I'm going to do for my career. What am I doing? Whilst I'm stacking like shoes out in the aisle, and this very large woman comes over me, never seen her before, and goes, "You gave me the wrong shoe." And me, 16-year-old, autistic, very sensitive to loud noises, just stares dumbfoundedly at her as she shouts and yells at me till my, working officer or like superior or whatever comes over and goes, hey, I'll take care of this, madam. Stacy, fucking run. In the most politest terms that they could say in public, like, go shoo. And I think it was that time when I realized not only do I not really have any friends working here, but also just I don't think I could have taken that. Like, that was during a part of my life that was very, very awful. And I was like, I don't want to work in retail, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. No, it's like, the part of the reason why I laughed is because you said I worked retail, and I'm like, yep, I know that exact feeling as well. I think, hopefully, I would like to assume that a lot of people, especially in the art fields, have worked some sort of job to where they especially like on a retail level, to where they realize, yeah, no, I don't want to do this like ever. Like, let me do the thing I want to do. Let me do the thing that I love.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, to be fair, they cleverly they used my autism like a gun for it. Like, they knew what I was good for: stacking, organizing, all that shit. Like, done, repetitive stuff. Do the can, do the shoe, all that shit. They knew how to organize my autism to a finite point, and but yeah, that whole thing of just like suddenly being yelled at for something I did not do was just like the thing in my brain which went, I don't want to fucking be here anymore. So my mother and my grandmother helped me organize a way where I could somehow work online, and that kind of fell through because they were putting more of their hands in the pot than I was.
Oh, gotcha.
Because they wanted to make sure I was doing the best for me, but they are not me. They do not know what is best for me. And then later on, I eventually found out about Patreon and stuff, and I was like, oh yes.
Is that where you more or less start to really formally decide ideas like Shark Puppy or whatnot, and try to make that more?
Oh no, Shark Puppy came before Patreon and stuff.
Okay.
But like, because Shark Puppy was during my university and stuff, but like after I left university and got out of retail, I was like, I do not want to go back to retail. I also have to preface this by the fact that I live with my mother. I have autism. I hate using this term. I'm high functioning, but when I'm not with people I trust outside, or not with like my headgear or whatever, not headgear, my earmuffs. Basically, okay. I have sound sensitivity. I can't watch jump scare movies. Okay. I can't watch things with very loud noises. Otherwise, I shut down. So if I'm not out there, I kind of fall apart. So I live with my mother because she is my guardian.
Okay.
And stuff. And I raise money so I can add to the bills and stuff, and we basically we share a house. It's like an apartment basically. Only the landlord is my mother.
No, honestly, like, I totally understand that mentality. I mean, if it helps, I'm not on that spectrum, but I also live with my parents. My dad's in the other room right there. My stepmom's on the other side of the house. So, like, I get that whole entire thing, but I'm glad that you do have that, like, good, strong support system. Like, whether or not you're, on that spectrum or not, that good strong support system in the first place is a really good thing to have, especially, for being someone that wants to work in the arts.
That's why I want to work with the arts as well, because because of my I don't want to say disorder, because of my neurodivergence. Eye contact and things that are needed for business. That's why they put me in the back of the warehouse when I was working retail, because I couldn't look people in the eye. I couldn't do actual like communication stuff, because I would stutter, I would look away because, you know, I was terrified of looking people in the eye.
Right.
But thanks to things like the internet and online stuff, like I don't have to look people in the eye right now. I don't have to look at like the screen right now to talk, and I can be myself, and I don't have to stutter all the time. Sometimes my words come out before my brain catches up, so you know.
That's valid. It happens to me too.
And like, yeah, and it's great. It's man, like I'm so glad I decided to work more from the internet and stuff, because it helps me feel like I'm more of a person. That's very ableist of me to say about myself, but you know, I hope that gets the point across.
No, absolutely. Like, if nothing else, like, especially compared to, like, real world versus digital world, you feel a lot more comfortable in this space because you can more or less, like, you have more control of the parameters that you can have with the internet, more or less.
Exactly.
I mean, it certainly helps.
It's hard to have control.
Yeah. I was gonna say, no, you're perfectly fine. I was gonna say it certainly helps, like you said. Like, for example, I have my screen on. You don't have to look at my face at all, and I don't blame you.
Oh, hush! You look fine.
You're too sweet. But it also leads me to a question when it comes to just the internet and in general. How did you first become familiar with the internet, and how did it more or less like reinforce your love for art and want to explore it?
I'm about to take people on a blast of the past. Does
do
anybody remember Gaia Online?
The name sounds familiar, but I did not use it growing up, so.
Well, Gaia Online was an online community where people would have avatars and talk on forums and all this, you know, the same stuff. It's like Neopets, but for anime, and I didn't even care for anime, because on that you could have a forum called excuse me, Growing Pets and stuff, where it was basically like you could basically sell line art and like inked drawings and be like, look, this is your pet, and then draw it a little bit bigger and be like, this is your pet, and trade it for like online gold and stuff, and like, you know, pennies and Gaia coin and all that stuff that you got by petting your online gerbil 5 times a day or something. And
I'm sorry, but like phrasing probably would have been better on that one.
Have you pet your online gerbil today, chat? I hope you have. Chat, God, I'm so sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine.
It's ingrained. It's in the blood now. Help me. But yeah, I was part of a shop called Shadows of Africa, which was inspired by The Lion King.
Okay.
I was a customer of that, and basically the whole idea was like you would get these little art pets, and you'd put them in your signatures, and you'd role play them and all that stuff. The corner of self-induced cringe that you look back on and you're like, but I liked it. That's the whole thing, by the way. Cringe is dead.
Yeah.
Cringe is just enjoying yourself. You're only cringe if you're picking on people. Thumbs up. But yeah, seeing all these people like just methodically every month like grow the little cubs into juveniles and into adult lions, and like doing that over and over again, it made me want to draw my own lines and stuff. So I did it, and we did art trade and all that stuff, and eventually got onto DeviantArt because Jesus Christ, of course you do.
Yep.
Eventually. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Definitely not anytime soon. That's for sure. Yeah. Especially with how the mighty have fallen in that case.
Ah, yes, we support artists. What the hell is that computer-generated crap I'm seeing, DeviantArt?
Exactly.
You lying bastards.
So I'm curious now, because you had mentioned it, obviously. So like you have, I imagine, you know, with the Gaia Online, especially with, you know, getting the toy around with, you know, line art and such, and especially really getting invested in DeviantArt. When did Shark Puppy become involved in this part of your art presence?
Years later. Okay. We have to go way ahead, far from DeviantArt, very, very far, when Tumblr was first in its flourishing thing. Yep. Before such things like, you know, the porn ban were in effect, when Homestuck was in its ripe age. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I'm aging myself terribly here. I can feel my bones aching. But, yeah, it went on, and eventually I started posting art there. I still post art there, because despite what people say, Tumblr's still fun, despite, you know, odd comments here and there. People need to learn more media literacy on that site, I feel. But, you know, Also, bring the porn back. People were much more chill with the porn. I wonder why.
Let the porn run rampant, or at least let it run free. You know,
porn free. Sorry. Oh, but yeah, it started there, and it's still there. There's still artwork of Shark Puppy there. If you look under my Shark Puppy tag on my site, my blog, which is of the same name nowadays. It used to be Owl Fluffs. Now it's Kaiju Fluffs. Oh yeah, because that's how I've evolved like a Digimon.
No, trust me. I was gonna mention the Owl Fluffs at a certain point with this conversation. I'm just curious, how did Shark Puppy come to be, and like what made you want to like run with that and use that once again to like really get yourself out there, or at least just express yourself?
Honestly, I could not really tell you. I was just that's how most of my artwork happens. I was doodling one day during university because my brain was just in this hideously depressed muddle of like static, and I was like doodling shit like, oh, there's a cat, oh, there's a rabbit, and then I started drawing a dog and I messed up the head, and I was like, oh, look, kind of looks like a shark, and I just doodled that over and over again and decided to make a little comic, put it on Tumblr, and people went ballistic for it. People went utterly rabid for it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I just doodled more, and I doodled more, and I did even more, and they were like, more of this little creature. I'm like, okay. And that's how it went.
I mean, I mean, you made an adorable version of a weird hybrid, and you tell me people weren't going to love it? I mean...
It's inexplicable how it happened, and it just happened, and I'm very happy because people keep messaging me now and then going like, hey, I just wanted you to know I was having a really awful day, and then I saw your Shark Puppy comics again, and it made me really happy. I'm like, good. Aww. Good.
That is... Sorry, go on.
People like whenever I mentioned it, they were like, wait, you did that? And I'm like, yes. Like, the internet is so much smaller than you imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, trust me, there, you know, I mean, we had a little bit of a mini example whenever I mentioned Tipsy J Hearts, and you were like, oh my god, I remember her, she did that song. Like, that's a good example of that.
Oh.
I was gonna say, speaking of, like, small world or whatnot, you could probably correct me if I'm wrong with this one, but, like, you know, obviously when it comes to art, like, animation is also a good hand in that or whatnot. I think I saw this somewhere, or I might be confusing you with someone else. Didn't you used to do animations for the podcast My Brother and Me?
I've done one animatic for My Brother and Me, and it was for their D&D thing. Yep. It was for their D&D game, and it was for their Pedals to the Medals arc, and it's the only animatic I know of this particular scene where Merle flirts with flowers.
Yep. Yes, that's exactly the one I was thinking of.
I did that for the shits and the giggles because I thought it's funny, it's really good. It has 500,000 views to this day, yep. And I'm blown away by it because I'm like, you really want to see this old man flirt with plants, and you know what? Good for you.
I mean, to be fair, it is an animatic, which people already love, of a podcast with a very strong fan base, My Brother and Me, and you're presenting one of the weird scenarios in one of the funniest ways possible. That just adds up to views.
It's so good. My oh, what the hell was I gonna say? The word was gone, and it's there. I still get comments on that video, and it's great just seeing either like, oh wow, I love this design, and then you get comments like, what the fuck.
And now maybe for some people, they're watching this podcast for the first time, not realizing you were the ones that did, for example, Shark Puppy or that animatic, and people are like, wait, that was you?
I am the mediator of your curse.
Like, it has to be like almost weird and maybe a little surreal to realize that you have this like unique internet presence where you have stuff out there and people don't realize that that's you.
Oh yeah, like sometimes like people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean that was you? Like, that was me. That was me.
it makes me curious as well. Just wondering when it comes to some of that early stuff, whether it is that animatic or whether it's any of the Shark and Puppy stuff. Is there a? I'll ask when it comes to specifically Shark Puppy. Is there a particular like sketch or comic that you did with that you personally that's like is your personal favorite one that you hold like near and dear to your heart? Like I still this is a great thing that I was able to do.
Hang on, let me, because I have it open at the moment. It's hard to pick.
It's like
particularly
it's
one
like,
I love, especially. It might have been during Halloween, because every Halloween I tried to make like, you know, Shark Puppy themed Halloween things. One of them was based off of shark. One Halloween was based off of shark movies, and one was called Shark Puppy Nado, which was basically Shark Puppy with a little balloon wrapped around him, standing in front of a fan and desperately waiting to take off. Hang on, I will get it for you and just put it in the chat for you. I'll just put it in general chat.
Let's see this bad boy.
Yeah, but then there it is. I did this.
Oh
in,
my god!
2013.
Yeah, that's 2013. Oh my god, that's just so adorable. Like, it's insane to especially see how like stuff that you did like over 10 years ago or whatnot. People still look at the stuff and absolutely cannot get enough of it.
That's the joy of the internet. The internet like keeps. This is why we have to keep our media safe on the internet and stuff. And this is why pirating is a victimless crime, because it saves media.
Exactly. I was gonna say, like, especially when it comes to, like, you know, like Shark Puppy in general, like, it has to be weird to kind of see stuff like that, and then you see like other pieces of media having something very similar, like Marvel having Jeff, for example, the little shark puppy of their own.
I got comments and stuff like, "Oh, you got this from what the hell is it, like Eek the Cat and everything?" And I'm just sat there like, who? Who the hell is Eek the Cat? Or like, you got this from Jeff, and I don't read comics. I don't read like Marvel or DC or anything. I was like a goober. I didn't read any of that. I was like, I was role playing lions on a fucking forum. I didn't read comics. I wasn't cool enough to read comics. So whenever people are like, "Oh yeah, you took this from Jeff," and I'm like, "Whomst? Who? What? Whomst is Jeff?"
It's like you're just like, I'm over here on my own little island, just having a good time. Like I
just wanted to draw a shark and a dog.
I wanted to draw a dog, and it looked kind of weird, so that I made it look cool.
Yeah, it's my baby.
It's your little baby.
I haven't drawn him in so long. I might draw him again just for the fun of it.
Oh, that would be great, especially seeing what you can do nowadays with some of the art you've been able to present. I will say it's a good thing that we are talking about Shark Puppy, because it does kind of lead to a broader topic that I did at least want to bring up. One of the things that I certainly at least noticed is when it comes to some of your hyperfixations or whatnot, especially with what you've discussed so far, you seem to have an affinity when it comes to animals, but more in particular beasts and such. Is there a particular reason why that's the thing that you more or less like cling to, like the thing that you personally love drawing?
Yeah, I suppose it is because I grew up on like very early Disney like movies. They made sure to get the Disney in me really early as a kid, like stuff like Fox and the Hound, Lion King, Dinosaur with Aladar. I love Disney's Dinosaur, unironically. I love the film. I don't care if it's not one of the best. I love it. But also, because people comment on it so often, I also got into a lot of Don Bluth. Two of my favorites of Don Bluth's is Land Before Time. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, Land Before Time is so depressing.
Yes, it is.
In the best way. And American Tail, which is also very depressing, because Don Bluth's rhetoric of films is you can show children anything as long as you give them a happy ending.
Exactly. Yeah. No, straight up.
Look at The Secret of Nim. Secret of Nim as well. But yeah, like all these animal like and beast style characters, and like how like expressive they were and how their adventures really ticked in me. And also just as a personal thing, because drawing humans sucks. I don't know what it is, but like human features are so much harder to draw than exaggerated animal features, and that's a flaw in me. Even after all those life studies, my whole brain, when I'm trying to draw the human head and the features of it, just goes, eh.
I mean, you say it's a flaw. I find it as an advantage when it comes to drawing some of the other stuff. I mean, seeing the way you've been able to present yourself more than anything else, I feel like, I feel like it works in your favor more than anything else.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I think there is at least one exception when it comes to drawing humans, because there is one thing that you do like to draw that I think you really do nail, and that's clowns. Now, I just have to ask, because obviously you're not the first person that I've had on this podcast that has had a good, deep love when it comes to clowns or whatnot, but what is it about clowns for you that you just cannot get enough of them?
I think, well, particularly because it's not just clowns, and I think it is just specifically the killer clowns from outer space.
Okay.
Because if you take a look at them, and like how accentuated their faces are and how exaggerated they are, if you took a look at them, don't they look like a Don Bluth illustration if it was given flesh?
Yes, straight up it does.
Yeah, the lips and the eyes, and how because Don Bluth always had this thing about like half eyes and like tired looking eyes, and they do look exhausted half the time.
Well, I mean, they're traveling across the galaxy, basically looking at the.
Of course.
I mean, give them a leather. Plus, they're working at night. For God's sakes, aren't you a little tired? Whenever you after a long road trip, it's nighttime. You're like, all right, let's get this done. Let's get this over with.
Oh yeah, for definitely. Oh, by the way, fun detail I always like to point out to people who watch Killer Clowns. They have slit pupils, which means they hunt both nocturnally and diurnally.
Oh, I did not realize that. I definitely
yeah. On the zoom-ins, when you look at them, their pupils are like cat eyes, and that when I found that out, and like with all the biology like stuff I learned from like nature programs, my head just went, oh, so even in daytime we're fucked. Okay.
It's like we're just fucked in general. There's no stopping it. I will say, like, especially when it comes to Killer Clowns, like I know I kind of tease this a little bit whenever we were doing our little lead-in or whatnot, but like that movie in general is just like, it's so masterfully done with how they were able to make the puppets and such. The set designs, especially whenever you're actually like in the spaceship itself, is like, pun intended, out of this world, like insane. The production that went into
fantastic.
Like,
because it was done by the Chiodo brothers, who are special effects masters and stuff, and just the fact that they decided, oh yeah, let's make a movie. And sometimes movies made specifically by special effects creators don't turn out that well. They look great, but sometimes the story doesn't do well. Thankfully, in my opinion at least, Killer Clowns does, because it's such a simple idea of, the tiny town gets invaded by aliens. It's the classic 50s movie sci-fi thing, only clown-shaped.
Only clown-shaped.
Only clown-shaped. But yeah, and it had a budget of $2 million. Most of that, by the way, money went to make a working popcorn gun.
Yeah, I can.
That only worked for the one scene it was in.
Yep, I could totally believe that. I was gonna say, I know when it comes to the Chiodo brothers, like seeing especially like their resume, not just with Killer Clowns, but some of the other stuff that they had a hand in. It's absolutely amazing. I'm trying so hard to see if I can find a way to get in contact with them and get them on the podcast to talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
because like that, especially like just their body of work in general, it's like it's legendary, and people need to know more if they don't already.
Oh, for sure.
And if I do get the opportunity to, I'll at least let you be one of the first people to see that episode.
Oh, I'd love it. I would adore it.
But
yeah, the reason I like drawing them is because they are so like easier to draw than people, because of their exaggerations.
No,
also because like you could go crazy with it. Sorry, I'm talking over you.
No, you are perfectly fine. You do not need to apologize, especially when obviously this is stuff that you love talking about and you like cannot get enough of. I mean, I was gonna say like you had mentioned like the Don Bluth and stuff, and especially seeing not just with them, but just how you do in your art in general. Yeah, no, I totally get like the Don Bluth influence on your art and such.
it changed my body, my brain chemistry to like watch Don Bluth think, because it's like how expressive he makes things, whilst also making them almost kind of horrific.
Yeah.
Like Dragon the cat from Secret of Nim. Like, that's just a cat, but somehow he made it look like even more terrifying than some of the bosses in like the Dark Souls. And Jesus Christ, it's just a cat.
I mean, look at the actual video game that he had a hand in, Dragon's Lair and such. Like some of the ways that
Dragon's Lair is so good.
Yes,
I love Dragon's Lair. Oh, Princess Daphne was such a childhood crush, and finding out why she acted the way she did was such a mind boggle to me.
Oh, I don't think I heard about this part. What? Huh?
There was because people were very confused because when you go save Daphne, obviously I think it's just because it's the damsel and she has still sultry, but she's so ditzy in a moment of like peril and shit. But like they were like, oh, why is she acting like this? Yeah, like, because she's a blonde bombshell. Like she's just here for the eye candy, boys.
Okay.
But then it got expanded because they made a show about it, which was basically the Zelda show, but with Dragon's Lair, and Daphne was more competent. But then it got expanded into a comic, and it turns out the reason that Daphne acted so ditzy and ooh in the bubble is because apparently that bubble saps the intellect of whoever's inside it. Like their inhibitions and intellect. And this is shown by the fact that the dragon apparently has 6 more princesses having a pillow fight who have been in that bubble and have been effectively bimbified. And I'm like, that's a very, very hardly hidden fetish just stowed away there. Fair enough.
Like,
good on you.
Like, whenever you describe that, I'm like, you know what? That does make a lot of sense. Like, finding a way to make sure that the princess doesn't get like too smart and too competent and try to like pop her way out of the bubble or whatnot.
Like draining bubble turns them into a ditzy Playboy bunny, and I'm like, okay, fair enough. Whatever.
That's actually great. I wonder. Because if I remember correctly, aren't they making...
They should do that more in D&D things.
They should. They absolutely should. I was going to say, like, if I remember correctly, aren't they making, like, a live-action version of that with, like, Ryan Reynolds or something like that?
God, if I know. There was like, stories of Dawn getting involved in a full-on animated movie.
Yes.
For Netflix, but apparently the money ran out, and then they said, oh, let's do a live-action thing, and Dawn just went, no.
Yeah, no.
And that's been in creation hell, so I don't know. I might have to check up on it.
I mean, regardless, like that fun little tidbit is also a fun little like addition when it comes to the lore, but also like especially like you're saying, like just the Don Bluthiverse in general. I mean, the stuff that he had a hand in and the stuff that he has helped out with. Like again, another legend of the industry, and obviously someone that had a hand in inspiring a lot of people, such as yourself. Which also leads me to another thing about yourself that I'm curious about, because we're obviously talking about, like, you had the webcomic that you did with Shark Puppy, you're toying around with, like, animation and such. When in all this chaos did VTubing become a thing for you?
Well, I always used to stream on Twitch, because I liked showing my doodling. I liked to art and all that stuff, but I didn't like showing my face, because, I always have a thing about my face, and, you have to keep safe on the internet.
Right.
Like, and I don't think I have a face for camera, so and that's just personal gripe. There's nothing wrong. And also I don't think I could like manage doing camera stuff, because that whole thing of eye contact would make me stare dead-eyed into the camera and think that the audience is being possessed.
Literally like the Bo Burnham bit of prolonged eye contact.
Prolonged eye contact. But yeah, I used to do that. I used to doodle and everything. I'd have little mascots on the screen and everything. And I'm like, this is all very good and fun and blah, blah, blah. And it was just a bit of free, spare money if people felt like it. Because I do like doing Twitch. It's more for fun than anything, but the money is just a nice bonus. And then one day, as I'm doodling and footling about on Twitch, not streaming, just having a look at things, I come across a little streamer who is a delight called Meemaw the Geeky Granny.
Ooh.
And she's an older woman who streams with her husband, and they do little like games and stuff. And that wasn't what caught me off, other than that it was adorable as a concept.
Right.
what caught me was the fact that she had a little avatar of a cat. Like, just a moving 3D avatar of a cat just on screen talking when she talked and doing all this stuff. And it was from the old, like, you know, it was from that old program on Steam where you could just, you know, be like when people were being sheebs all the time. And I'm just like, you could just do that? Like, you could just be a cartoon on the internet? Like, huh? And I never really thought about that. And then, like, I really liked the idea of it, so I just had my little creature, just my little owl form in the corner whenever I do stuff, and I thought it was very fun. And then anime VTubers came out and all that stuff. And I'm like, it's getting more complicated. It's getting far more complicated now. Now you can actually be a movable cartoon and not just a 3D cat.
Right, right. I'll say I am curious. Like right off the bat, you said you had like your little owl persona like in the corner went out. Why was the owl the first way that you like presented yourself on the internet?
That gave me a story from my old significant other. We're friends. We're still friends.
Okay.
And we were chatting one day, and she sent me an image. I think it's a very popular image of a little owl with an orange hat on. And it's looking at the camera very wall-eyed in a sort of, huh? kind of way. And she sent me this and went, Stacy, this is you. You are a confused owl in a hat. And I just went, okay. And it just after that. I just started using the owl persona as a sort of thing, and it became more prevalent with owl fluffs when it turned from an owl to an owl bear, because you know I wanted to have some articulation more than just my little feet.
Right. No, that's honestly extremely fair. Like having a way to like project arms and stuff.
Yeah, and when I fully became a VTuber and stuff was when all my friends were slowly but surely getting into the whole racket of like rigging and doing stuff for a VTuber thing, because it was like it was a new frontier of business. Now you could, like, if you knew animation and knew how to articulate things in Live 2D, you were solid. Like you could rig stuff and make a good mint from it.
Yeah, no joke.
And I was playing around because I was trying to see how many images it would take to make a VTuber model, because I was looking up tutorials, and by the time I was finished, I was like, fucking hell, that's a lot of layers. And my friend Krista, out of nowhere, because I was talking about this, just DM'd me and went, give me that fucking file. And I'm like, what? And 2 days later, I had suddenly had my first owlbear rig for free, and they were like, there you go, have fun. And I was like, what?
I love how Chris just essentially was like, give me the file. This is not a request, this is a demand.
Yeah. They threatened my kneecaps, like, give me the file. They did it because it was also my birthday as well, which was very sweet of them, because I didn't ask for anything. They just said, so you have a folder that you've been practicing on VTuber layers. I see. Give me it. And I had my first model for free, and since then I've been paying them for future models. Like, I had my second owlbear model, and then I changed into a kaiju, has said.
Yes. That's the thing I wanted to talk about, especially because, I mean, obviously I can understand where, like, it started with the owl and then the owl bear to have, access to appendages. Yeah. So when did the kaiju became the thing that you embrace? What made you want to be this gigantic, stunning, but terrifying lady?
I have to be quite honest. The origins of why I wanted to be the kaiju came from very rude comments aimed at the owlbear. Because as you can hear, I have a rather heavy brogue. I'm quite deep-throated for a deep voice, not deep throat.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but then you just corrected yourself.
It hit me like a train going, no, not that one. Deep voice. I'm quite deep voice for a lady, and because voices come in all sorts of flavors and cadences and everything. Like, it's just how the body works. But because I'm so deep voiced and the internet is full of chuds, I was getting comments basically going, stop pretending to be a woman. I can hear it. You're not a woman. And I'm a cisgender woman. I identify with my crotch, and Sorry for everyone who's listening to this.
That's hilarious.
But,
I just want to say before you continue, like, I hear that comment and I thought, who exactly made you a doctorate in gender studies, motherfucker? Like,
no, none of these motherfuckers. Every one of these fucking twats says, "Oh, we can tell." Like, motherfucker, you thought J.K. Rowling was a man for a while because she had a slightly squared chin. None of you can tell. You're just eating each other, and I hope you leave no crumbs. But
there
yeah,
you go.
But yeah, it went on, and just comments like "stop pretending" and all that stuff. It just made it being the owlbear more kind of not fun to be that. So I decided to say, hey, look, I'm going to change things up, and just, I'm really sorry if you enjoyed the owlbear, but it's not being fun to like be the owlbear anymore, and I hope you can forgive me and all that stuff. I made a huge thing about it on Twitter, and then I went on to start trying to make the kaiju, and that began basically taking the parts of me that I don't like and adding them to things that I really love, like 80s monster movies, especially Godzilla movies. I love Godzilla movies. God, I love big monster movies and all that stuff, and 80s movies and the 80s aesthetic. Oh, because my uncle used to sit me down every time I'd come over and be like, I do not know how to entertain a child. Look at the movie.
I mean,
thank you, Uncle.
I was gonna say your uncle has great taste. If Godzilla and like 80s movies like that is the thing that he exposed you to.
Oh yeah, he exposed me to a lot of 80s movies and Godzilla movies and all that stuff. But yeah, I took things I didn't like because I'm 6'2", I have polycystic ovaries, which means I have a permanent primordial paunch, and a little bit more fuzzy around places. So I took all those things, like my fuzz, my tummy, my height, and I added them to things like the goth and the glam rock aesthetic, the monster movies, the 80s fashion and stuff, and just the bombastic. I basically made a version of me that I wanted to love. And that's how the kaiju came.
I would say, I think you made one not just that you loved, but everyone loves.
Yeah, I was shocked by the really positive. I was expecting a lot of people to be like, "Oh, well, it's not the owl. It's not the owl bear. You're just going for the big titty thing because it's a usual VTuber thing." I'm like, no, I'm just putting my body shape into a thing, maybe a bit exaggerated because, you know, cartoon.
Yeah.
And just trying to love myself. And I will be honest, ever since being the kaiju, I felt more confident. I felt more like myself, honestly.
Good.
And just more able to be like loud and happy and all that good stuff.
I am really glad to hear that. I would say I'm really glad to hear that. I mean, again, it doesn't help that, again, whenever you presented, again, big giant lady, the people on the internet were just like, hi. Hi, kaiju.
I should have really thought, maybe they won't like me. And they're like, wait a minute, big lady, of course they will.
I mean, I imagine, like, regardless...
I remember Dimitrescu.
Well, that's an easy one. I mean... But I mean, regardless, like, I can only imagine, especially since you've gone on this more or less VTuber journey, like, again, starting off as the owl, then going to the owlbear, and now how you present yourself, it has to be insane the support you've been able to have throughout the entire way, regardless.
It is! Like, I've met so many wonderful people, and people that I lost contact with for a while, and then refound. Me and Min used to be mutuals on Tumblr and stuff. We used to, like, puddle about on WoW and stuff, and then we got quiet for a bit, and then, we were in, like, VTuber rings, and I was like, wait a fucking minute, I know you! They were pointing at each other, like, oh, you too! It was a very, like, happy surprise, and I've met, like, so many new friends, and, like, so many old friends, and it's a delight! Like, it's like, see how many, like, oh, excuse me, how many, like, creations and stuff has been made and all these new changes, and I see my friends evolve and all that stuff, and taking away from the hideousness that happens sometimes in the community. Like, it's a wonderful feeling. And to be surrounded by so many artists as well that just inspire me and make me want to do art, and yes, it's great.
I mean, I can think of just like the artists I've had on this podcast alone that are also VTubers and such, like Star Tease or Fairbanks. Fairbanks is an easy one to point to. I mean, you mentioned Minerva as someone I'd love to have on this podcast as well. Seeing what they've been able to produce or whatnot. But like, I can only imagine, like, especially with all the different, like, just how long you've been doing kind of the VTuber thing, but also like the fun ways you've been able to present yourself and the fun people you've been around. There's got to be some interesting and fun moments that you've had since you've gone on this VTuber journey. Is there a particular stream or a particular moment that you love to look back on and just laugh about because of how fun it was or how ridiculous it was?
Oh, I'm sure it's one of the highlights I've had. There are so many good clips that have happened on the stream and just moments like the first time I ever hung out with Redclaw playing Phasmophobia,
Yes.
and just hearing him scream like a little girl. Like, oh, very good. And just the day I actually first previewed on my first ever like model, which I made myself. I made my first kaiju model myself because I didn't want to bother Krista, and it's a bit stiff here and there, and it's not my best piece of work, and but I still loved it. I was still very happy with it, and people were just like, "Oh man, like Ziz Lively is a big woman, big woman, big woman." But like, there are like so many good parts from the Owlbear era as well, with Phasmo, with Arma, with all that good stuff. But yeah, I couldn't pick one out off the top of my head because my memory is wank. But like, looking back on like moments and clips of it, like it's nice blasts from the past.
I mean, if nothing else, like, I can imagine, especially since you've been on the VTuber journey, you kind of illustrated this a little bit with, as you presented yourself with the kaiju model, you became more confident with yourself. I imagine ever since you've really been online, but especially when you've been VTubing, it's been a way for you to truly feel more comfortable and just have the fun that you probably couldn't have had if you were out there in the real world, again, giving prolonged eye contact or whoever.
Oh, for certain. Like, I feel like very nervous about being loud and confident out in like, the real world, because obviously I'm in the UK, and if you're too loud in the UK, you're a public nuisance, or you get looks, and like people are very judgy in the UK. Like, I hate being down here. I want to go back to Scotland. These Southerners drive me up the wall and make my instincts flicker. Like, I'll fucking have you. Don't you look down at me. I'll put on a kilt and have at you. But yeah,
feel like haggis.
Oh god, I actually could kill a haggis right now. Fuck. Murder for a haggis.
I've always wanted to try haggis. Never had an opportunity to. I've always wanted to try it.
Very good. It's a fun little savory snack. I do recommend, if you're ever in Scotland at some point, or just get a deep fried one.
Ooh, I didn't realize that was an option.
Oh, it's Scotland. You can deep fry anything.
Well, I mean,
we're the inventors of the deep fried Mars bar, for God's sake.
You're talking to an American. We just deep fry just about everything possible. Deep fried Oreo, deep fried Snickers, deep fried butter. Like, yeah, that's a thing.
True. But yeah, well, deep fried haggis is a wonderful little thing that you can get from the fish shop, for the fish and chip shop. A little bit of that, a little bit of chips, wee bit of vinegar, maybe. Maybe a bit of fried tomato. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it. And I can't be like loud and bombastic and stuff outside because people get very oh well, look at so like being able to be this and loud and funny and all that stuff online, it feels like a wild change, and like, yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Absolutely. I can tell that, like, I can tell, like, the fun is not only what you've been able to present, like, when you're streaming or whatnot, but also, like, in the way of your art. Like, I cannot tell you how much I see, like, your art online, and I cannot get enough of it. Whether it be, like, drawing, obviously, big kaiju mommy. Whether it be that, or just, like, drawing your hyperfixation, whether it's the clowns or the Monkey King or whatnot. Which I do have to ask about that. What is the hyperfixation when it comes to the Monkey King? Why is that one that you instantly go to?
My literacy teacher is a fucking genius. That's why.
Oh, okay.
When we were very little. Sorry, I'm just like swallowing something. I'm crunching ice because it's helping me gums at the moment.
Okay.
When back in English class, my literature teacher was trying to teach us about the Journey to the West, which is one of the four core novels of China, and obviously we were snotty little teenagers, and he had no idea how the fuck to teach us when we weren't even paying attention. Right. So he decided to basically go, "Hey, do you know that show you watch every time you go home from school on Cartoon Network called Dragon Ball Z? Do you want to read where it came from?"
Oh.
And it hooked me immediately because, like, Dragon Ball Z played every time I got home from, like, school. I was sat down for tea and, like, just watch it, like, wall-eyed, staring at it, like, eating and watching anime. So learning that it came from somewhere, I was immediately hooked by it, and I loved it. I thought it was cool. I was that young that in my head, the Monkey King was my imaginary friend, and we'd go on adventures and all that stuff. And that died down a little bit as I got older, but then it resurged when, this is going to be a bit sad. It resurged recently. The recent resurge of my hyperfixation came up when my grandmother on my mother's side unfortunately died.
Oh.
She died very suddenly in the night, and none of us were prepared, and we were just like, we were devastated. And in my head, this is going to sound so desperately sad. I needed a way to like focus on something, anything to just get through without, just breaking down. Right. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to go back to the Monkey King. I'm going to draw some of him because I wanted to focus on a creature that could not die.
Right.
Because that was in my head. Like, if I could draw something and just focus on something that could not die in the midst of this sudden death, that would be fine. And it has helped because, like, hyperfixations are a great way and a method to learn more things. Like, I've gotten so much better at hands because of this fucking monkey. Because he's just all hands.
True. Very true.
But yeah, it started innocently enough and then just recently propped up because of a tragedy. But it's been a comfort. Like, I do that. I don't know how to cope with grief as I suppose normal people would. Right. So I just cope by doing things that help me process through the day, and that's drawing, because drawing helps me focus. It helps me like get emotions out, because sometimes reading emotions is hard for me, sarcasm is hard for me, and like doing expressions through art and all that stuff, it helps me focus and process stuff. So yeah.
No, I mean, I totally get like both the humble beginning from it, but also like using it as more or less a coping mechanism. And I totally get that. I mean, I have experienced death in some forms of fashion when it comes to like grandparents and stuff like that. And I understand just having to try to find some way to be able to cope with that. For me, it's more or less like just, quality time with family sometimes. And it's different for every person. Like, obviously, for you, the Monkey King, like, especially that mentality of like, this is the one beast that I know cannot die. So yeah, I can see how that more or less like helps you kind of get through that rough patch or whatnot. But obviously, on top of that, like, it's obviously a fun story in the first place, because if it,
like, sure.
Yeah, like, it's a fun story, it's a fun concept, and a fun character in the first place. So like being able to kind of more or less go along with that, and seeing, like, for example, him as well as some of the other art that you've done, like, Killer Clowns from Outer Space art of, again, Kaiju Fluff's, giant one or whatnot. Not just the detailed, drawing it, but I love like the little blurpo version of you, more or less, like the little.
Oh, my blurpo.
I like basically I guess your version of a chibi version of you. Like I cannot get enough of like the little doodles you post of yourself when you're like that.
I love drawing them. The Blorbo is a great starting point for me whenever I want to draw, just to do and warm up things, because like they're just a little round ball with expressions on them.
Yeah.
And I love drawing them. It's great, and it makes for really good memes and stuff, and possible future ideas for emojis if I had the space. One day.
One of these
That's
days.
the goal. I don't care about the money. I care a little bit about the money, but I just want the space for my emojis.
I mean, again, like I said, it's just a fun little fluff ball, more or less. That where you can just do like some of the great memes or whatnot. Like I don't know why, but the first one that comes to mind is more or less the Twitch safe version that you have with like the 2 sensor bars or whatnot. That one was just great.
Fucking the censorship in Twitch is insane.
I am fully aware. Trust me. What was it? I had Sam, Eldritch Grandpa, on a different podcast that I do recently, not too long ago, and this was right whenever all the people were making the hubbub about the hips thing being like a major thing that people had to focus on, even though it's kind of always been there, just they reworded it or something like that. I remember that was something that like we had mentioned and talked about like in passing, like more or less joking. I remember Sam just straight up being like, "I'm sorry, everyone, my hips do not lie. I apologize for that." But I was going to say, when it comes to all the art, especially the ones that you've been doing more or less nowadays with all these different, fixations or whatnot, is there a personal favorite piece as well when it comes to that? Because obviously there's a lot to choose from when it comes to that.
Let me look through the gallery because there's quite a few. I know when I started back into my, Killer Clown's mischief, because God, that was whiplash realizing that might have been the origins of my monster fuckery. Christ. I shit you not. When I was like, oh man, Killer Clowns, I really loved that as a kid, and then certain things started to click in my brain like, wait a fucking minute. Wait a goddamn fucking minute.
Wait a minute. Something's up in here.
Like, something's wrong in my brain chemistry, or maybe right, I do not know. But there was a piece I did because the game was obviously coming out, and there was a huge hype about that, and there still is a huge hype about that because it's out now and people are like really happy about it. But at the same time, the Ghostbusters game was also out. Ghostbusters, the one with 4 players, and I can't remember what its name is, but that was also out. And the communities were so nice to each other. The devs were so nice to each other. They loved each other. They supported each other. It was really, really sweet to see. So I did a collaborative piece of both Ghostbusters and Killer Clowns.
Nice.
As opposed to, hang on, let me see if I can find it for you, and you can use it. Hang on. Art. I have a dedicated Killer Clown folder, so hang on. It should be in there somewhere. Of course, I have a dedicated Killer Clown folder.
I'll take things that don't surprise me when talking about kaiju fluffs for 100, Alex.
There it is.
That's right. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I made a big piece of it and stuff. I'm very happy with how the humans turned out with it because, I tried to emulate more of the style from the old Ghostbusters TV show.
Right. The real Ghostbusters, I should say.
Yeah, the real Ghostbusters.
You know why it's called that, right?
Yeah, because there was an original Ghostbusters that had a giant grill in it.
Yep, that came out like...
I'll get over that.
It's always unique seeing like where certain things have an origin and more than anything else. But no, I remember seeing like that piece. I know that piece was like really cool. I mean, for me personally, as I was like scrolling through and doing the research and whatnot, there was one particular of you that you did that I absolutely loved. I can't get enough of. It was the one with you with the leather jacket. That one was great.
Hang on, I know that. Oh, there it is. It's from January of this year.
Oh, wow. Okay, it's more recent than I thought it was.
Yeah. Hang on. I did that for fun because I was thinking of future designs for outfits and stuff.
I mean,
I'm very happy with that.
It's a good look. It's a great look more than anything else. I mean...
I was also listening to Grease because thumbs up.
Oh, no, absolutely. I was going to say, freaking, I was going to say, I love the reference of, tell me about it, stud.
God, I also was like fucking hopped up on so many raspberry lollipops. Holy shit. My friend bought a tree of them for me, and I was like, how the hell am I going to get through this? So I just mouthed them by the twos.
Mouth them by the two. That is a phrase I've never heard before, but I'm glad that's entered my vocabulary. No, I could understand, especially with how much sugar is probably in that much, especially getting a tree of it more than anything else. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yes.
I mean, it's really cool. It also leads me to kind of wonder, like, with all these different ideas, like, what is more or less like the art process for you? Like, how do you go from just like random idea to, okay, finished product you put out there? Like, is it somewhat planned, or is it more or less like a sporadic kind of thing? Like, you have a hyperfixation. I need to what's the word I'm looking for? I need to act on this hyperfixation before it floats away.
It's partly that, because sometimes I will think of like, oh, that would be cute to draw, and then I'll draw it out. But sometimes I'll just be drawing, and then suddenly my brain will be like, what if you did this? I'm like, good job, good idea, and just or it'll come while I'm drawing, and I'm just like, when the hell did this happen? What happened? And as with most of my doodles, I always say, oh yeah, this is a warm-up, and then it'll just end up as a finished thing, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? I've been here for 2 hours, what happened?
It's like, I'm just making sure I'm getting really warmed up more than anything else, you know?
Yeah, really warmed up. Oh.
That's the thing I always love when it comes to artists. Like, sometimes they'll post, like, this was just a warm-up, and it's, like, a hyper-detailed thing that took them, like, 5 hours to do. I'm like, if that's the warm-up, what are you gonna do? Like, a 10-hour, like, interpretive piece, like, in person at some museum in France or something like that? Like, good
God,
lord.
yeah, like, some artists blow my mind away. Like, oh, yeah, this is a doodle. And I'm like, that's a fucking doodle? What do you mean that's a doodle?
Like, I've seen a doodle. You know, look at little blorbo of you. That's a doodle, okay? Like,
yeah, that's a doodle. My little blur, that's a doodle. I did that I farted those things out. Just, I've had enough practice. I could fart that out. When people say, like, oh, that's a doodle, and it's, like, several layers of paint, and I'm like, what the fuck are you capable of? That's a doodle. What the what part of your soul did you sell if that's a doodle?
That being said, I also should say it should not discredit you as an artist, because even whether it is just a doodle of little blorbo, or like the pieces like we talked about with like the Killer Clowns Ghostbusters crossover or whatnot, like your art, I cannot tell you this enough. I love it whenever you post a new piece, because I love, like, for example, like, I love the details that you put into it. I love, like, the art style, especially the influence that we, like, talked about with, like, the Don Bluth and stuff like that. Like, I cannot tell you, like, every time I see a new piece of yours, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Oh, thank you. I really need to get back in doing more art frequently, because I've like been struggling with an on and off art block and everything. Well, that with the IRL stuff, with the medical things all in October,
right.
And the flooding of the kitchen and the living room, that was a fucky thing, and just dealing with stuff, and like trying to be more streamy and all that. I really need to just get back into streaming any type of art that I do. Yeah. Well, apart from any nudity, because Twitch is a weakling.
And trust me, especially seeing some of the NSFW stuff on Blue Sky, yeah, I can see why that's probably not, you know, an easy thing for you to stream in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even, like, if you just drew a fat pair of titties on Twitch, Twitch would be like, does this count as autistic? Because that's the only way you can get away with it. Like, draw a tit, like, is it autistic? Oh, yeah, I'll add a flannel or something, or a clamshell there, now it's artistic.
There you go. I'm not gonna lie, I misheard you for a second. It's like, is this autistic, not artistic?
I mean, I am, but, you know.
That's a different story.
Artistic and autistic.
There you go. I mean, given everything that we more or less like discussed when it comes to like all the different art you've had a hand in, all the different, you know, ways that you've been able to present yourself online, and for people to recognize you whether they realize it or not, thinking to your art journey as a whole, like all the way back to whenever you were drawing giraffes on an Etch-a-Sketch or whatnot, are you more or less impressed, or at least, you know, is it surreal for you to think how far you've been able to develop as an artist?
Honestly, sometimes I do think maybe I'm not good enough as an artist, or maybe I'm not like fulfilling what I'm doing as an artist. But then I'll go back to like old pieces I've done, like on DeviantArt, or things that my mother has kept in a scribble in a box, in the memory box that she keeps, because she's very highly sentimental. But I thank her for that, because then I look at these images and then I look back at what I've done nowadays, and I'm like, I've actually done pretty well. Like, these are things I've drawn. I've done these things.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not that bad. It's a good confidence boost. I'm very happy with how my journey's been going.
I was gonna say I think you're a little bit more than just not that bad. I think you're pretty damn good at it. I think you're pretty damn good with it.
Oof, I don't make my head grow fat. It's big enough as it is.
Well, what if I make it... This is going to be weird for me to say. But what if I make it grow a little bit more and give you, Stacy, more or less the dream scenario with this next question?
Oh, go ahead.
Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to him like, look, Stacy, we've seen the stuff you've been able to produce, and we know that you're a fantastic artist, and we know that there is more that you could potentially do. You just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to get you to that point. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than should be possible. We really should be compensating the animators right now that are currently trying to negotiate a better contract for themselves so that they can get, health benefits more than anything else. Hashtag stay with animation more than anything else. We'll focus on them in a little bit. We promise we will be getting to them soon. But right now we are focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream Kaiju Fluffs project?
I've never really thought about it in the future that far, because I'm quite happy with how I've been going, other than trying to reach your partner. But if I did have enough money and like access to such, big and lofty firms and all that stuff and creators, a Killer Clowns from Outer Space Saturday morning cartoon.
Yes! Yes! Oh goodness, that idea alone, like you heard my excitement right there, and especially with how rabid the fan base could be at times and whatnot, they would eat that up instantly.
And in my head, like, it would either have to be, what style would it have to be? It'd either have to be the style of the new Ghostbusters, because they already had a Killer Clown style episode with those like laughter vampires, or Klasky Supo.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Like the classic, freaking Rugrats, Wild Thornberries.
Yeah.
As told by Ginger
Real
style
Monsters.
Real Monsters style. That's magnifique perfection.
Ooh, it's very good.
I love the vision. I love the vision. I see the vision. I need to see that in reality now. If there's anyone out there, or maybe you yourself can handle it since this is something you want to see or whatnot, I want to see those clowns in that kind of style. That would be great. Wonderful goals. I think it's an investment well worth it and then some. But sadly, we gotta get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back. I know, and we gotta get back to reality. And I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
That's a good question. I suppose, obviously in better health, but maybe partnered and continuing to do what I love, playing games, drawing, all this sort of stuff, because I'm not going back to retail. Yeah. You can't fucking make me. I want to keep doing what I love. I want to keep doing, making money, helping support my mother, because she is getting up on age, and just doing what I love while doing it, because that's what anyone would love to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, I forgot to mention this because you had mentioned your retail experience. I figured I'd at least give a little bit of mine because I know exactly how you're feeling.
Please do.
It's not directly retail, but it's in a retail place. I used to work at a mall food court. In particular, it was an Indian place at a mall food court, which here in America is not very common. So we weren't like the most busiest of places. Like we weren't like Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A, like getting rampant customers or whatnot. But we were solid. Like there are people that saw like Indian cuisine and they're like, huh, that's something I've never tried before. And like there were days that were really good and I enjoyed working there, and there are days where I just wanted to throw all the food like into the hallway in the back and just walk away and say I quit.
God, I feel that.
Yeah, like there was one time to where we had gotten someone who'd been working there for at least, like, we got someone new. Their English wasn't exactly the best, and they weren't and like for some reason, like, they were the person in charge of like taking orders for customers and like serving the food, because like the way that it'd be set up is we'd have like, you know, like there's the counter and whatnot, and there'd be like little food, like different kinds of like curries and stuff like right in front of the person, to where like if a person wants, they could try a sample of it, or it's like, okay, I want the bowl with the rice, and I want the chicken korma, or chicken tikka masala, or the okra curry, or something along the lines of that. And this person was not really good with English, but they were also not really good with just communicating in general. And so there was at one point to where it's like, hey, do you need any more food? Consider the fact that, it was getting a little busier. We need to make sure that we refill the food from the back in the kitchen area. And they just handed us a list of the entire menu. Like, they needed everything. And it's like, why didn't you tell us beforehand? Like, we could have gotten some of this stuff going for you. I remember I just, like, I saw that, put the paper down, put my hand on the ground, and I'm like, I'm taking my lunch break, like, right now, before I break some shit.
Feel that, in my soul. Yep. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I had nothing against the restaurant. I had nothing against the owner, because this was, like, he was from India, so, like, these are, like, his recipes or whatnot, made for, like, mass market. And trust me, that was my first experience with Indian food, and now I love Indian food. I cannot get enough of Indian food. But, like, especially some of the people I had to work around, there was, like, 2 or 3 that were, like, really cool, and I enjoyed being with. And then there was a bunch of people that was like, why are you even here? Oh, goodness. So that was my little retail story. That's why I don't ever want to work with retail. That's why I work in warehouses now. I drive the forklift. I'm forklift certified.
Hell yeah.
But as we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question I want to ask you. Obviously,
of course.
Obviously, you are deeply entrenched in art in one form or fashion, whether it be the ways that you present yourself or the art that you're able to present online in such fantastic ways. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
How would what?
How important is art, not just for you?
Oh, how important?
Yep.
I think art is an important, like, well, of course, it's one of the most fundamental parts of being human, isn't it? Because, like, we've looked back into the history of, like, humankind, and, like, the drawings upon walls and caves of people in the dark huddled against each other for warmth, and, like, that was their entertainment. Art is entertainment, and entertainment is necessary for the soul, because without it, then what are we? We're if we didn't have entertainment, we wouldn't have joy. We wouldn't have things to, like, elate us. And art fans out into different things. It's voice acting, it's movies, it's cartoons. Art in itself is such a wide term, but drawn art is fundamental to people, because it goes into so many different things. It goes into blueprinting, archaeology. It goes into math. It goes into so many things that are fundamental to humankind. And yet people, when they hear art, they think of just the paintings and galleries and the doodles and, children's sketchbooks. And it's more than that. I think it's one of the most important and, crucial firmament stones, the foundations of being a human being.
I think that is perfectly worded, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Stacy, that's all the questions I have for you. I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise, but I want to shower you a little bit more, because it's my podcast. I do what the fuck I want. Look, like I said, leading up to this conversation, like, I have been aware of your presence at least for a good while. I mean, you're obviously in some close circles of people that I am friends with and have had on the podcast beforehand, like Eldritch Grandpa, Tag, Rocco, like, people like them. So I've always been, like, in the background, like, always seeing kind of either the art you present or some of the streams you'll be able to put out there. And I just love your presence more than anything else. I love, whether it be with the streaming aspect, just this fun, loud in a good way,
Aw.
like creature that is able to go online and just have a blast with everyone that they're around. Or again, with the art, seeing kind of more or less the fun you've been able to present out there, whether it's, showcasing yourself either in this really detailed, hyper-focused piece, or just these little blurbos just having a good time, or just pieces of stuff that you absolutely love and cannot get enough of. Getting the chance to sit down with you right now, get a chance to really talk with you, and really see and hear kind of more or less like the journey that you've been able to have, seeing the love that you've been able to have for this kind of stuff and why you want to keep doing it. Because I could tell with this, it's not just, it's not just an outlet for you to just meet people. It's an outlet for you to be able to truly feel comfortable in your own skin and really just have a good time, really feel like yourself. And that's really encouraging to hear, because the you that you were comfortable with is the you that we love and cannot get enough of. Like, we appreciate you taking the time to put yourself out there and just showcasing how much of a fun person you can be. The long and short of it is, thank you for what you do. Keep up the incredible work and keep having a blast, because you know that, I'm gonna be one of the people, one of thousands, and hopefully a lot more soon, that really do love and appreciate what you're putting out there and cannot get enough of. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet of you. Thank you so much for that.
I'm just being 100% honest. I already got you here on the podcast. Why would I lie to you?
Yep. You make a good point.
Now, if people want to know why exactly I have been gushing about giant kaiju mommy. If people want to know why I've been gushing about kaiju fluffs before me, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home.
Hello, I'm Kaiju Fluffs, and you can find me over at Blue Sky at Kaiju Fluffs, and on Twitter. Well, no, not Twitter. Fuck Twitter.
Fuck Twitter.
On Twitch at Kaiju Fluffs. I no longer post on Twitter, but yes, I'm on Twitch. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Tumblr of the same name, and you can find me there. You can find my doodles. You can find my ramblings like a madwoman and all that good stuff. I don't really have a set schedule for Twitch, but that's the fun of it. It's like a gashapon of when the hell am I going to be online.
That is extremely valid, but also, we're going to be there. I'll be sure to have those links in the description below, and maybe some more if you missed any or whatnot. I got you covered.
Yay!
Don't worry. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
Never be afraid to doodle or just do artwork. Remember, artwork is a journey. Nobody comes out of the pussy just painting Picasso. You gotta be yourself, have fun, draw art, and just draw whatever is on your mind, because there's no rule about art other than just not drawing things that could actively hurt people. Just draw dicks with wings, draw big titties, draw whatever your heart desires. It's art. Have fun. Life's short. Enjoy it.
That is wonderfully worded. Also, I got that reference that you got earlier of "no one comes out of the pussy." That's a great one.
That has lived with me for my whole life.
It's a great moment. It's like, how can you ignore that moment?
Oh,
but yeah, listen to Kaiju here. Draw those dicks with wigs. Draw those big titties. You deserve it. All right.
Hell yeah.
And with that, all I'd like to say is, for the people at home, if you can, please pay your artists.
God, yes, please. We're starving.
And you don't want her to be starving. That's the last thing you probably want.
Hungry.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I greatly do appreciate it. Like I said in the intro, this was definitely a monstrous conversation that I was so glad to share. And Stacey, if you've gotten up to this point, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. You're a fantastic artist, a phenomenal person to talk to, and you were just an absolute ball and a blast to just chat with. I certainly can't wait to keep up with you more than anything else. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it has been chaos as of late. Just dealing with a whole bunch of different stuff. Some of it, I've been very vocal about. Some of it, if you know, you know. But one of the biggest things I did recently was I officially made the move from Twitter to Blue Sky. I haven't fully deleted the Twitter. I'm keeping it locked because I don't want some random bot taking my username or whatnot. I have it locked, so hopefully the AI algorithm doesn't take that stuff. But, I mean, there's no deciding on that. But even then, I've said for ages at this point that once Blue Sky becomes more up to snuff, I was going to move there anyway. The move was inevitable. But it's just, with all the recent events, all the recent changes that the old muskrats made, plus with how many people finally made the leap as well, I knew I knew that now was a better time to really dedicate myself to really being on Blue Sky more often than not. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. It really hurt to make that move because Twitter's where I basically got my start, Twitter is where I went to learn about all these different artists and to find these different communities. Twitter was a way for me to reach out to some of these artists and really get to meet so many incredible people. Twitter is where I was first introduced to all sorts of different arts and media and such. Without Twitter, this podcast may not be where it is. It was literally me making a tweet to certain art, me making a tweet just in general. Let me start with that. It was me making a tweet and having artists that I loved and appreciated respond to it that made me decide to make this podcast in the first place. It was Twitter that helped me spread the word better than just about anywhere else. But it was also very easy for me to really get to know a lot of the people that love and support the same things. And now with everything that has happened since you know who decided to do you know what, the place is just, it's more or less like a ghost, not even a ghost town. It's just completely unrecognizable. That's why I have high hopes for Blue Sky, because it's filled with people that I have become amazing friends with. Some of the best friends I've gotten to know thanks to Twitter and such, I get to see on Blue Sky. I get to feel excited about seeing stuff, discovering new things, because it seems better curated, or at least it seems like it's been easier for me to finally see some of these incredible things and get to know about so many incredible people that I may have never had a chance to otherwise. Obviously, there's still some growing pains, freaking the videos being X amount really puts a hamper on, the teasers I like to put out there for the podcast. But at the end of the day, what shouldn't matter is the platform itself. What should matter is the community that's in and around it. That's why I had to get away from Twitter, It became more of a community for the people that, like the things that Musk liked. Meanwhile, Blue Sky, at least for now, feels like a place where my friends are. Hopefully more will be there soon. I mean, it really does suck because it was such a beautiful thing. But I have a good feeling that with Blue Sky and other social media platforms, like for example, Inkblot. I talked about Inkblot several times before. If you guys have not used Inkblot before, if you enjoyed DeviantArt back in the day, I think you'll appreciate Inkblot. So hopefully you'll go there and show some love and support them if you can. But at least when it comes to Blue Sky, for me, that's where I'm going to be based. That's where a lot of my stuff's going to be showcased first and foremost. So if you want to keep up with the podcasts, Blue Sky should be the first place you guys go. Rest in peace, Twitter. You served me well. you really helped bring the world together, and hopefully Blue Sky will live on to keep up that legacy.